As the first rays of light pierce the coral sea, a fragile and ancient metropolis begins to wake. Here, within the shallow gardens of the Great Barrier Reef, the morning routine seems peaceful. But beneath this tranquil blue sanctuary, a silent countdown has already begun. Over the next 14 hours, this sunlit nursery will transform into a shadowy hunting ground and ultimately the stage for one of the most spectacular hidden phenomena on Earth. By nightfall, the ocean will look like a blizzard. In the quiet, undisturbed obscurity before dawn, beneath the gentle, rhythmic swells of the coral sea, lies the most magnificent biological structure on our planet. The Great Barrier Reef rests in cool, muted blue hues, a sprawling, submerged metropolis of shallow coral gardens and sheer, plunging oceanic drop-offs waiting for the sun. At exactly 5 in the morning, the ocean is a realm of profound silence, dominated by the distant, low-frequency rumbling of shifting oceanic tides echoing through the pelagic zone. As the first soft, diffused rays of early morning light pierce the water's surface, slicing through the thick atmospheric mist, this complex Great Barrier Reef ecosystem begins its deliberate circadian awakening. Down upon the sandy benthic flats, an ancient mariner stirs from its nocturnal slumber. The green sea turtle slowly blinks its large, dark eyes, shaking off the deep lethargy of the night. It pushes off the ocean floor with powerful flippers, embarking on a daily journey across the reef plateau to forage. Above this heavily armored wanderer, casting a sweeping shadow through the water column, glides the undisputed phantom of the shallows. The majestic reef manta ray soars effortlessly through the cool marine water, gracefully banking its massive wings against the incoming morning current to filter microscopic plankton through its cavernous mouth. A masterclass in aquatic hydrodynamic efficiency. By 6 in the morning, the light begins to reveal the towering staghorn corals and ancient brain coral formations. Symbiotic cleaning stations open for the day's business, where tiny, industrious blue-streaked cleaner wrasse dart frantically around the gills of returning manta rays, offering a vital hygienic service in exchange for an easy morning meal, representing a perfect evolutionary truce and a critical symbiotic relationship in an otherwise highly competitive environment. Even the deep abyss begins to stir as the immense echoing vocalizations and dwarf minke whale clicks rise from the freezing darkness below, welcoming the newly breaking day as the shadows retreat and the reef prepares for the bursting energy of the morning sun. As the biological clock pushes past 7:45 in the morning, the low-contrast atmosphere of early dawn completely surrenders to a bright, overcast morning sky, bringing an explosive wave of morning vitality to the unparalleled marine biodiversity of the reef. The bustling microcosmos of the ecosystem comes brilliantly alive with high-energy activity across every layer of the water column. In the dense, nutrient-rich seagrass meadows, another gentle giant begins its daily harvest. The massive dugong uses its highly specialized snout to vigorously vacuum the sandy ocean floor, unearthing thick, starchy roots necessary to sustain its tremendous mammalian bulk, leaving distinct dugong grazing trails across the seafloor, while opportunistic green sea turtles swim alongside to share the freshly churned bounty. Suddenly, the complex acoustic signature of the reef changes, pierced by the high-frequency echolocation clicks and rapid whistles of a highly intelligent pod of bottlenose dolphins, coordinating a masterfully tactical hunt through the sunlit shallow waters. Moving with deliberate, unwavering authority through this chaotic underwater traffic is the immense Maori wrasse, its intricately patterned body shifting as its rolling eyes fiercely scrutinize the ancient coral formations for hidden crustaceans. Yet the most thunderous acoustic force of the entire morning belongs to the imposing bumphead parrotfish. Operating like a relentless underwater demolition crew, these heavily armored giants violently ram their massive bony foreheads into the hard staghorn corals. With incredibly powerful beaks, they bite off solid chunks of calcium carbonate, grinding the ancient rock and expelling vast clouds of fine white sand, quite literally shaping the geographical foundation of the reef ecosystem with every crushing bite. Meanwhile, the dark, ominous silhouette of an apex predator, the great white shark, cruises silently out of the murky, deep blue abyss, its torpedo-like body perfectly evolved for supreme lethality, casting a tense, vigilant shadow over the vibrant coral gardens as the morning hours surge with unrelenting ecological momentum. When the sun reaches its absolute zenith at 11:30, the intense, flat, natural light of midday penetrates deep into the water column, bringing an unrelenting underwater heat that triggers a profound period of ecological rest. The frenetic, chaotic energy of the bustling morning abruptly ceases, replaced by a deep, lethargic stillness across the sprawling reef plateau. This is the midday lull, a highly critical period of energy conservation where survival depends on minimizing movement. Green sea turtles seek immediate refuge, wedging their heavy shells tightly beneath the deep shade of flat table corals and inside dark coral caves, deliberately dropping their heart rates to a mere handful of beats per minute to hold their breath for hours. The massive potato cod hovers completely motionless near a sandy overhang, its enormous mouth opening rhythmically and slowly to flush vital oxygen over its heavy gills without expanding unnecessary energy. To successfully escape the searing surface heat, the majestic reef manta rays abandon the shallow coral gardens entirely, sinking like heavy stones into the deep, dark oceanic drop-offs. Here, in the much cooler, featureless blue abyss of the pelagic deep, they enter a profound meditative state of suspended animation, hovering perfectly level in the silent water column. Back in the sunlit shallows, survival during these quiet midday hours relies entirely on the masterful art of biological deception. The broad-club cuttlefish, a highly intelligent marine cephalopod, utilizes an astonishing array of complex chromatophores in its skin to execute the perfect disappearing act. Hovering entirely motionless next to a craggy coral outcropping, it transforms its skin texture in a fraction of a second from completely smooth to highly spiked, seamlessly mimicking the surrounding algae and resilient coral structures undergoing vital coral bleaching recovery to become utterly invisible. Yet, even in this profound stillness, danger persists. As the formidable tiger shark sweeps its powerful tail to endlessly patrol the silent reef perimeter, ensuring that the hierarchy of the food chain remains perfectly intact. By 2:30 in the afternoon, the stagnant midday heat finally breaks as a sudden, powerful surge of cooling ocean current washes over the sprawling reef plateau, signaling the crucial shifting of the afternoon tides. The fading, diffused daylight casts incredibly warm, muted golden tones across the entire marine ecosystem, entirely transforming the visual aesthetic of the underwater landscape. The reef collectively exhales, and the afternoon awakening begins in earnest with renewed, vigorous movement. Green sea turtles aggressively push off the sandy benthic floor, swimming forcefully upward to the surface layer to take deep, desperate breaths of fresh atmospheric air before the darkness returns. Down in the deep blue, the reef manta rays sense the shifting oceanic pressure and soar magnificently upward from the dark abyss, executing breathtaking backward loops to stretch their massive wings, displaying their full reef manta ray wingspan and feast upon the newly arriving clouds of dense afternoon plankton. As the cooling currents sweep relentlessly through the intricate coral labyrinths, the highly venomous nocturnal hunters of the reef begin to prematurely stir from their dark caverns. The spectacular red lionfish expands its elaborate fan-like pectoral fins, a stunning but deadly warning display, as it hovers with silent, predatory focus in preparation for the coming dusk. Slithering menacingly through the tight, jagged gaps of a dead coral head is the olive sea snake, an air-breathing marine reptile that flickers its forked tongue rapidly to taste subtle chemical changes in the water, aggressively hunting for small crabs hidden deeply within the limestone architecture. As the clock pushes toward 5:15, the shadows cast by the towering pillar corals lengthen dramatically, stretching like long, ominous fingers across the sandy flats. The diurnal species intuitively sense the rapidly approaching darkness and immediately scramble for safety, with the giant clams firmly sealing their massive scalloped shells shut with a heavy, resonant thud, bracing for the nocturnal shift. As the clock moves beyond 5:15, the warm golden light fails entirely, replaced by fading, soft, diffused twilight that rapidly transitions the water into dusty, muted orange and deep, dark blue oceanic hues. Absolute pitch blackness soon consumes the Great Barrier Reef, and the invertebrate night shift officially takes absolute command of the ecosystem. Creeping silently from beneath a dark, isolated rock, the highly venomous blue-ringed octopus begins its deadly hunt, showcasing the ruthless efficiency of nocturnal marine behaviors. In the absolute darkness, its brilliant neon blue rings glow with intense, vibrant warning colors, a beautifully hypnotic but utterly lethal display. From the darkest, deepest holes in the coral structure, a true nightmare of the reef slowly slides out into the open. The giant moray eel entirely exposes its massive serpentine body, snapping its powerful jaws aggressively at confused, sleeping fish as it slithers across the unprotected ocean floor. But as the biological clock strikes exactly 1900 hours, the ultimate breathtaking payoff of the reef ecosystem begins. Triggered by the precise temperature of the cooling water and the exact gravitational phase of the moon, the massive coral plateau suddenly, violently erupts. Millions upon millions of glowing pink and white coral eggs are simultaneously released into the pitch-black water, drifting slowly upward like a chaotic, glowing underwater snowstorm. This is the synchronized mass coral spawning event, the most spectacular display of reproductive resilience in the natural world. Microscopic bioluminescent plankton churns heavily in the water, sparking with brilliant flashes of blue light. Into this blinding, magical chaos flies the reef manta ray, banking sharply and executing ecstatic vertical climbs through the glowing pink blizzard, with its mouth wide open to feast on the overwhelming bounty. Yet, amidst this roaring explosion of life and death, the ancient green sea turtle sleeps on, utterly undisturbed in its quiet cave. The majestic manta ray completes one final elegant loop, leaving a stunning trail of glowing blue bioluminescence in its wake, before dissolving completely into the profound blackness of the night ocean, swallowed by the eternal rhythmic hum of the wild earth. As this underwater blizzard settles into the dark abyss, millions of tiny lives begin a perilous drift into the open ocean. But out there, in the deep blue void, entirely different leviathans are waiting for the dawn. To witness what greets them in the pelagic deep, click here and let us descend into our next journey together.